With trick-or-treaters just around the corner, I am getting really excited on what I'm going to hand out this year. I know making something homemade may not be the norm in your neighborhood, and if you can't do it, I understand, so just use these for your favorite people in your lives as little gifts for Halloween. This year I'm going to make a wonderful spiced ginger cookie, and I'm going to frost them with a delicious buttercream. They are so fun to use around these fall holidays, and you can transpose them to anything that you need. To start, place 1 stick of room temperature butter right into your stand mixer. This is a really sturdy dough when you start mixing up, so it's best to use a really heavy-duty stand mixer like this. It just works better when you're putting everything together. Beat the room temperature butter until it's light and fluffy. You can see that it is so much easier when it's room temperature, otherwise there is no way the butter would be light and fluffy like this. With the mixer running on low, slowly add in your sugar. You can see the consistency will change and it will become even lighter and fluffier. In a separate bowl, place your molasses. I love using molasses in the fall. Its flavors just meld perfectly with spices. In the molasses, you want to make sure to add your baking soda. I know this sounds so odd, but it actually reacts with molasses and it really changes the outcome of the cookie. So you want to make sure to add it into the molasses and stir it up while you're getting your other ingredients ready. As you can see, it becomes a little bit more white and starts to almost get foamy. Next, you want to make sure to prepare your fresh ginger. These cookies utilize the best flavors of ginger, and fresh is the only way to go. Using one of these fine, rasp microplane graters, you want to slowly grate your ginger onto a plate. I know this takes a while, but this fresh ginger makes these cookies all worth the effort. You want to make sure to do it on a plate or on a pan like I'm doing, just because it catches all the juices that also come from the ginger, and that is where so much of the flavor is. Once you have that done, you can add that right into your butter and sugar mixture, along with black ground pepper, and freshly ground is the best way to go because it releases the most flavor. I know what you're thinking, this sounds like such an odd thing to put in cookies, but the spiciness of the black pepper really marries with the molasses and the ginger and brings out the best of all those flavors. Next, just add in a little bit of salt and mix that up until it just becomes well incorporated. To this butter mixture, we're now going to add our molasses, and as you can see, it has really changed and become different. So we're going to slowly add that in and let that mix up until it's well combined. And now slowly add in our flour. When you're adding your flour, you either want to make sure your mixer is on really low or it's off completely, and then you slowly turn it on, or your flour is going to be everywhere. In a separate container, we need to make sure we have sour milk ready. So often these old recipes use sour milk because at the time they were written, people wanted to make sure to use up everything they had, even their milk that went bad. But nowadays, to make sour milk, it is so simple. Just take a little bit of vinegar and add it to your milk, stir it up, and then you have perfectly fine sour milk. Once the molasses is mixed into the cookies, you can just add your sour milk. It may look a little weird and the milk may even curdle, but don't worry, it will be just fine. Once the dough is ready, if you're worried that it's a little too soft for you to handle it, you can stick it in your fridge for a few hours and it'll be a lot easier to roll out. If you're not worried, just place it on a really well floured surface like I'm using. Don't worry about adding too much flour to this dough. You can really sprinkle it on and even sprinkle more on as you need it and as you're rolling. You want to roll this dough out a little bit thicker than some other sugar cookies you might be used to cutting out, about 3/8 inch thick. And if you're worried about the thickness or you're not used to doing it, just do a tester cookie, cut one out and place it in the oven and see if you like how it comes out in the end. That's the best way to test how thick to make it. Of course, for Halloween and for the fall festivities, I'm using these fun pumpkin cookie cutters I found at Target. I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can make sure to use the same ones if you can't find your own. They are so great and come in a few different sizes so you can do anything with them. Place the cookies on an ungreased cookie sheet and put them into a preheated 350-degree oven. You want to bake them until they're puffed and spring back to the touch. They won't become golden by looking at them because, as you can see, they're a really dark cookie, so you cannot go by looks on these. It will take about 12 to 15 minutes though, depending on how thick you make them. Once they're done, take them out of the oven and let them cool on the pan for about 5 minutes and then completely cool on a wire rack. They smell so delicious right now. And just to make these even better, we are gonna frost them. And I know you could just eat them as they are, but I have to admit, a frosted cookie, there is nothing like it. And the kids or whoever you give them to will like it all the better. This is just an extremely simple buttercream frosting. You can't go wrong with it. Put room temperature butter and some vegetable shortening into your mixer. It works best to have a mixer just because then it does all the work. If you want to use a hand mixer, that works great too. Mix the butter and shortening on higher speed until it is well combined and kind of becomes light and airy. The shortening makes this a little bit different. It doesn't have such heavy butter flavor, but the butter gives it the flavor you want and the shortening gives it the lightness and airiness you really are looking for. To this I'm going to add in some great spices, a little bit of cardamom and some cinnamon. Cardamom is a little bit different, but it really kind of complements the spiciness that's in the cookies and adds that great fall punch you're looking for. And then for some flavorings, a little bit of vanilla, and it's optional, but I think it's worth it, a little bit of maple extract. It really adds a great fall element to these. Mix that together and then slowly, and I mean slowly, add in your powdered sugar. As you probably all know, we've all had the thing where we add in way too much and then it just goes everywhere. Slowly add it in with the mixer running on a slow speed. Mix it until it's completely incorporated, and you can adjust the sugar if you don't think the consistency is quite right to make it a little bit thicker or thinner. To finish this up, and this is completely optional, but it is so fun, I'm going to just separate it into some different bowls, keep a little bit of the original frosting for some just plain base color if I need it, and then I'm going to make sure to tint some of the others a bright orange and a black to do some writing with. Now, you can use the old drip colors that maybe you're used to, but if you haven't yet, it's probably a great time to invest in some gel colors. You can find them at any cake decorating store or in the craft store in the cake decorating section. These are a lot better to use when you're coloring your frostings. They don't mess with the consistency or the texture, and they just really are a lot easier. Mix the color in completely just to make sure that there are no strands. You don't want to go to all this work and then have little dots of darker or lighter color throughout the cookies. I'm putting my frosting into pastry bags fitted with different tips just because it's easier for me. If it's easier for you to use a knife or a spreader and just spread the frosting on, that of course is perfect. Whatever works for you. I'm just going to go around and do some different designs and do a little bit of writing. I know this takes a little bit more effort, but it's really fun to give these out to little trick-or-treaters, and it's just so much more fun for the holidays. As you can see, with a little bit of effort and a little bit of work, these cookies are so worth the wait. Not only do they look great, but they taste even better. The spices are perfect for fall, and you cannot go wrong with these cookies anytime. Happy Halloween. Thanks for watching this video. To see more videos that you might enjoy, click over here, or click down here and subscribe to our channel to see all the great new videos we come out with each week. Can't wait to see you again.